Welcome to Herself, a space for women to have deep conversations about the intersection between spiritual entrepreneurship and fulfilling your potential, so you can become the woman you truly are in every area of your life. After being in business for over 2 decades, I've learned, as you likely have too, that as you grow your business grows you in unexpected, often challenging, yet miraculous ways. Here, we'll talk about how to get out of your own way so you can grow a business that's abundant and sustainable while allowing you to be a force for good in the world. I'll give you simple, actionable strategies as well as wisdom and inspiration to help you root into your wholeness, lead from your values, and work in ways that feel deeply aligned so you can bring your true self into the world through your business and in every area of your life. I remember in high school and college when finals would come around, I would go all in. And I was never really much of a late night studier. I would study all day, go to bed, and then I'd wake up early in the morning. And it was just total tunnel vision. And it was that kind of that final push right before a big break, whether it was the Christmas break or the summer break. And I always did well on my exams. I was a straight A student, sometimes an A+ student. And every single time I would leave, whether it was from Barnard in New York City or I went to boarding school at Taft in Connecticut, I would be returning to our family home in Connecticut afterwards and just be completely wiped out. And it would take me some days to recover. And I didn't question that. It just seemed like the deal. Like you work really hard, you succeed, and then you collapse. That was the cycle. That was what success looked like. And that's also what my dad modeled. He would wake up every morning at 5 a.m. and he would drive to the train station down the road from us, and he would take the train into New York City. He would come back in the evening, sometimes not until 9 o'clock at night. And on the weekends, he would sleep in until like 11 a.m. because he was so exhausted. And somewhere along the way, and obviously this started early for me, exhaustion and success became really fused together in my system. Really, they became two sides of the same coin. And if I wasn't depleted, I must not have tried hard enough. If it didn't cost me nearly everything, then it didn't really count. And I want to explore that today because I think so many of us are carrying this belief and it's running our businesses in our lives without our explicit sovereign permission. That pattern did not end in school. It followed me right into my work. And one example is I've been leading retreats now for over 2 decades. And about 15 years ago, the same cycle was playing out in my retreats. I would lead a week-long retreat in some idyllic place like Thailand or Mexico. And I would just give it everything. Every ounce of my attention, my energy, my care. I would hold space for every single woman there. And I would leave everything on the dance floor, as the saying goes. And then I'd go home and just completely collapse. And I would have some days of recovery. And there was a part of me that was just continuing to wear that exhaustion as a badge of honor. Like it was proof that I had really shown up, that I'd given enough, that the women had had a profound experience and that the retreat had been a success because look at how much it cost me. And at the time I was working with a therapist who was also a retreat leader herself. And she challenged this pattern in a way that I've really never forgotten. And she said, Sarah, what if you allowed yourself to actually participate in the retreat? To feel like you are part of the retreat field, not just the one making it happen for everyone else. So letting the container be the container rather than thinking that I alone was the container. And she said, what if there's a flow of energy going out from you? Yes, but also coming back in so that you're receiving too. And then she said something that really shifted things for me. I had said something about, I feel like I'm always just doing my best. And she replied, Well, what if you didn't always do your best? I want to let that land for a moment because that question disrupted something significant in me. What if you didn't always do your best? For someone like me, and maybe for someone like you, that feels almost just too dangerous to consider. We've built our identities around giving our all, around being the one who shows up fully, who over prepares, who makes sure every single detail is taken care of. And we've been rewarded for that our whole lives. We've gotten good grades, gold stars, certifications, successful businesses, people telling us how amazing we are, how much our work has changed their lives. And underneath all of that is the belief that if we let up even just a little bit, it can all come crashing down. That our worth is contingent on our output, that we have to earn our place through effort and exhaustion. And what my therapist was pointing to was something radical. She wasn't saying to be careless. She wasn't saying not to care. She was saying, what if the gripping? What if the overgiving? What if the leaving everything on the dance floor? What if that's not actually what makes it good? What if that's just what makes it too costly? So that conversation really changed things for me. I started to transform how I lead retreats. I began allowing myself to be held by the experience too, not just to be the one holding it. I started participating in the field, not just leading it. And I let go of the belief that I needed to pour every last drop of myself into it in order for it to be successful. And you know what? The retreats, they're still wonderful, maybe even better because I'm not gripping, I'm present. And I actually leave the retreats that I lead feeling better than I did going into them. I leave feeling replenished instead of depleted. And I've carried that into the other areas of my business. For anything that I do in my work, I don't need to drain myself. I don't need to pour everything into it. It can still be excellent. It can still be deeply impactful, and I can walk away with something left in my tank. But here's what I want to name because I don't think this is just my story. In fact, I know this is not just my story. So many of us as accomplished women, we're high functioning to the point of over functioning. We anticipate needs before they're expressed. We take responsibility for everyone's experience. We believe it all rests on us. And we often have this deep, unexamined belief that if we don't exhaust ourselves, if we don't give it absolutely everything, it's not going to work. I invite you to really question, what if that's simply not true? So I want to leave you with this today. You don't have to leave everything on the dance floor. You can leave something in the tank. You can show up with care and devotion and skill and still have something left for yourself at the end. Success that requires you to exhaust yourself is not success. It's a pattern, and it's one that we get to outgrow. So here's what I want to invite you to sit with this week. It's just one question. It's not homework. It's no big exercise. It's just this. What would my next big thing look like if it left me feeling replenished instead of depleted? What would my next big thing look like if it left me feeling replenished instead of depleted? Whether that's a launch, a retreat, a client day, a project, what would it look like if you didn't grip it? If you let yourself be part of the experience instead of the one making it all happen? And just notice what comes up when you ask yourself that. Notice which parts of you resist it or don't believe that's possible. Notice which parts of you feel some relief and exhale. And if you are recognizing this pattern and you are curious about how to, in a really practical way, embody a calmer, more intuitive path to success, I have a 4-part workshop to help you with this. It is called How to Create a Simple, Sacred, Self-Led Business. It is just $25, and it is for sensitive, spiritually attuned women who are coaches, therapists, healers, service providers, who want their business to feel enjoyable, grounded, true, and yes, successful without the exhaustion. Because if everything we talked about today rings true for you, this workshop is where we explore what the alternative actually looks like in practice. You can learn more at sarahavaughnstover.com/workshop. That's sarahavaughnstover.com/workshop. And the link is also in the show notes. Here's to discovering that ease and excellence were never opposites, and to the radical act of not exhausting yourself on purpose. Until next time, I'm sending you my heartfelt support.